Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts.
Hey, users and subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. Well, today is all about cash, and more cash because a peer bangarang upset a gone over this whole cash grant situation. Yeah, but you know something? Did a bit of research because I did want to know where this cash grant actually come from. So currently, the PPP are under fire because they have decided to retract their original offer to the people of Guyana of a one off cash grant of $200,000. So first off, let's take a look at where this offer originally came from. So we're dating all the way back to the 10th of October 2024, when President Ali announced a slew of measures that would be benefiting the country across the nation of Guyana. So we are going to be listening to this short clip that will remind you of exactly what President Ali had to say.
On top of all the measures we have already announced, I also wish to announce now a one-off cash grant of $200,000 to every household in Guyana. A one-off cash grant of $200,000 to every household in Guyana. This will see an injection of $60 billion of disposable income into the Guyanese households countrywide. We will begin this one-off cash grant payment to household instantaneously.
That was President Dr. Irfan Ali making several major announcements on Thursday during a marathon address in Parliament, which just came out of its annual recess. According to the head of state, these measures are aimed at safeguarding the quality of life and disposable income for the Guyanese people.
So according to this article, it was originally a $200,000 per household grant. However, they found that there were administrative challenges that could arise from distributing the previously announced amount. They then changed that to a $100,000 cash grant to every citizen aged 18 and above. By changing this, the president had anticipated that the cash grant would have greatly impacted thousands of young people who may not yet be managing their own households. It addressed the many concerns of young people who did not yet have a family, as they would not have benefited from household allocations. The new initiative is supposed to take into consideration and expand the benefit to young professionals also. In defense of this new method of dispersing the funds, the vice president then came out and basically said that even Guyanese abroad could benefit from this money. Yes, so listen to what the VP had to say about it.
Guyanese living abroad who have an ID card or a passport also eligible for the cash grant. However, they have to collect the same in Guyana after going through a registration process. The grant will not be paid overseas. We have no intention of going to New York or Toronto to register people there. They will have to be in Guyana, register here. This enormously simplifies things for us. And it does not discriminate against our people based on residency. We are currently developing an app that even as I speak today, it's being tested. The Ministry of Finance is leading the process, but there are several agencies involved. And the app would have some compulsory fields that people would have to fill up before the check is processed. No proxies. We're not tolerating proxies.
Okay, thanks.
The next thing, a man goes around Brooklyn or Queens, and they then get 1,000 proxies. Everybody sign up. We're not dealing with that. We need about 5 months to roll out the entire initiative. We're not going to rush to do it and then end up with a lot of corruption or it going to people who are not eligible. We will take enough time to build a robust system that it could be done in a manner that is open, transparent, and every eligible Guyanese will receive it. They're doing testing today, but we want to make sure that it's working well before it's launched formally. But these are done by the technical people. So we want the system to be built so we have secure databases, secure ways of cutting the check, verification systems, and all of that, so that only eligible people receive it.
So yeah, it seems to be a lot of to and fro from the promise that was made in October 2024 to current date. Now, what has got everybody up in arms is this recent interview that took place with the current Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, who said that giving citizens cash transfers from oil funds is a failed model. And if the government focuses on this, Guyana will end up poorer than it started. Wow. A complete 180-degree turn by the PPP government if they intend to stop these cash transfers. Now remember, according to the IMF, cash transfers reduced poverty and increased disposable income, and the IMF recommended expanding them. Now here comes Vikram Bharat claiming it is a failed model that doesn't work anywhere in the world. The man even went as far as to name some places. But anyway, I'm going to make you hear it for yourself, and then we're going to go in a why him say no make no sense.
No, but getting back to the question of cash transfer. Now, it's a failed model. It's a model that has not worked in any part of the world. Now, let's look at a few countries. Let's look at the U.S. Right? Many of these people who have been called in for cash transfer, some of them live in the U.S. Some of them have relatives in the U.S. because we're so connected. And I want them to answer us if there is any cash transfer given to them in the U.S. The U.S. is one of the most powerful countries in the world. The U.S. produces probably the most oil in the world among oil-producing countries. I've never heard of any cash transfer in the U.S.
Did he just say the United States does not do bank transfers? I swear to God, this man is really hell-bent on using Guyanese people's ignorance of international law and international economics against them. And that is not something a government official should do. First of all, a quick Google will tell you the United States has various forms of cash transfers, including federal programs like the Earned Income Tax Credit, EITC, and the Child Tax Credit, CTC, as well as growing numbers of local unconditional cash transfer pilot programs and experiments, often supported by private organizations. These programs can be delivered through the tax system, private bank transfers, or direct payments to help low-income families. So, that's wrong. Let's listen to the other countries he mentions.
Qatar, which is probably one of the richest countries in the world per capita. I've never heard of any cash transfer in Qatar. The UAE, which is Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and other states, Emirates, I've never heard of any cash transfer given. Look at Ghana, look at Angola, and those African countries that produce oil. So this model, it can't work. It don't work.
So he said Dubai, as one of the countries, does not provide cash grants. Well, Dubai provides financial assistance and cash grants for low-income individuals through its social welfare program and other charitable initiatives. They are specifically for those with health challenges, low income, and specific social circumstances. Qatar, however, does not Okay. There are specific focuses on groups within Qatar that are populations in need rather than a broad domestic cash grant program. Angola, however, does have a cash grant for low income individuals, primarily through the Quenda program, which is a national cash transfer program designed to support the poorest and the most vulnerable households. The program provides financial aid along with support for accessing social services such as health and education, and helps with economic inclusion by facilitating access to financial services and opportunities. These benefits are often delivered via digital payments. He even mentions Ghana. Lord Jesus, no, sir. This man is really talking out of his backside. But anyway, Ghana provides cash grants for low income and vulnerable households through its flagship social protection program called the Livelihoods Empowerment Against Poverty, LEAP. The purpose of that is to alleviate short term poverty and encourage long term human capital development. This was launched in 2008 and has expanded significantly over the years to cover beneficiary households across Ghana. So, boy, oh boy, apart from one country, the man gets every damn country wrong that he offered as examples without cash transfer grants. Wrong indeed. Make we carry on here the waiver him have to say, because right now I lose faith. Hold on.
And let's look at it practical, in a practical sense. Now, should we do that? Let's say we're going to give every household 500,000 or whatever the case is, every month or every quarter, whatever. Now, who will work after that? It's sending a bad message. Who will go to school after that? Because if I'm a student and I'm a Guyanese, I would say, I'm collecting oil money. Why should I go to school? Why should I study? Why should I get a degree? Why should I go and work? Because I'm collecting this money. So it's the culture that would create, or the culture behind that.
So it
So
would it would not be an incentive
it,
to.
it will not be an incentive, and it will be short-lived. It will be short-term for sure, and we will end up worse than where we started from, because oil and gas will not last forever. Oil and gas will end at some point in time, and that is why we have used the revenue from oil and gas sector to continue building out forestry, mining, manufacturing, ecotourism, construction, and the new sectors that are emerging now, agriculture expanding, because we know we have to prepare for oil after gas, life after oil, like Dubai did, and we have seen their success. So these are resources that don't last forever. Added to that, with the conversation around the world on climate change and the protests against fossil fuel, trying to cut production, working on cutting demand, the demand for oil and gas will not be the same maybe 10 years from now or 15 years from now. So it is a model that will not work, because should we do that, we will end up poorer than where we start from. It simply means that we will end up with a country with people who are not educated because they didn't see the need to go to school and further their education and to study and to build a professional career because they're receiving these cash transfers, and people who have not invested in businesses and who are not working. And we will simply have a country where expats and foreigners will dominate, obviously, because our locals are just sitting back and waiting on their cash transfer at the end of the month. So it is a failed model. I don't think if you can point me to any country who have successfully done that around the world, I'll be happy to look at it. But I don't think it's a model that can work or will work.
Hence, the government has been cautious in how it utilizes that
Yeah,
instrument.
what we are doing is, for example, the University of Guyana is free. So our young people, instead of paying to go and study at the university and get a degree or diploma, they don't have to pay anymore. So everybody can go to university once you reach a requirement and get a degree or diploma. Everybody can sign up with a gold scholarship and move on to a PhD or a master's or whatever the case is. We are building 12 new hospitals, so we have world-class healthcare in Guyana. We are building out the infrastructure, so we have world-class infrastructure in Guyana. So it's about setting the environment and preparing the environment where our people can prepare themselves for the future, where our people can make use of the opportunities that are here now and that will come in the future because of the oil and gas sector. And if you look at that, for example, just look at the building sector. Look at logging, the demand for building materials. Look at mining, the demand for aggregate, stone, sand, loam. It has increased tremendously, and mainly because of oil and gas. Mainly because people are investing so much because of oil and gas. We see so much companies coming in and building. Mainly because government has the revenue now, added revenue, that we're using to build out public infrastructure. So it has benefited almost every single sector.
So basically, you know what this man has say? He must say that Guyanese people love too much freeness. He must say that Guyanese people are some lazy, layabout parasites. We're looking for handouts, and the government is not going to mollycoddle or baby uno anymore. Now, that to me is taking liberties with, first of all, the promises that were made to the Guyanese people prior to the elections. And now that you are in power for yet another 5 years, you've withdrawn that, literally pulled the rug under the feet of the most vulnerable, in particular in your society. Now, I saw this post, which was excellently put together by Concerned Guyanese on Facebook. He addresses, or she, because I don't know who behind the page, addresses this freeness mentality. I'm going to read the post for you. It says, you want to talk about freeness? Let's talk about freeness. Freeness is earning 15 million a year and living like you earn $150 million a year. Freeness is being in office for one term and owning assets costing 50 to 100 million each. Freeness is owning multiple properties that your salary couldn't buy in 3 lifetimes. Freeness is $7.5 billion disappearing into multifaceted approaches with no itemized accounting. Freeness is pulling on no bid contracts for projects that never finish and there are no consequences. Freeness is getting fat pensions and perks for life after sitting in office for one term. Freeness is building a mansion while the people who elected you can't get running water. Freeness is hiding billions under vague words like multifaceted approaches and strategic development with no receipts. Freeness is inflating contracts, creaming off the top and calling it budget overrun. Freeness is stealing land and flipping it for profit while small farmers can't get a lease. Freeness is consultancy, fees paid to your friends who produce nothing but shitty basic PowerPoints. Freeness is jetting to conferences abroad on taxpayer dollars while telling citizens to bear your chafe. Freeness is getting taxpayer-funded medical care overseas while local hospitals don't even have basic medicine. Freeness is pocketing duty-free concessions on cars, then flipping them for profit. Freeness is collecting fat sitting fees on government boards that meet once a month for an hour. Freeness is spending half your workday posting party propaganda from your office while taxpayers cover your salary. Freeness is endless stipends, allowances, and per diems for trips, cars, housing, and representation. Freeness is signing lopsided oil contracts that enrich foreigners and politicians while citizens get scraps. Freeness is building vanity projects for photo ops while entire villages can't get proper roads and public services. Freeness is consultancies paying hundreds of thousands for recycled reports nobody reads. Freeness is inflated security details and motorcades so officials can feel important while traffic clogs up. Freeness is billion-dollar emergency contracts handed to friends bypassing all checks. Freeness is drawing a pension while still collecting a ministerial salary. Freeness is handing out prime state lands to political friends and family for pennies. Freeness is government housing allowances while ordinary citizens fight banks for mortgages. Freeness is luxury vehicles bought with public funds that somehow end up in private hands. Meanwhile, the people working multiple jobs, some working 12-hour shifts, hustling in markets, driving taxis, farming in mud, sending remittances, or mining in dangerous conditions. They're the ones accused of wanting freeness for asking for a repeatedly promised $100,000 to $200,000. Boy, listen, I don't even understand how they feel about this, how their conscience can manage this kind of tactical move against the very people who supported them into power in the first place. Because this includes everybody, every Jack Mandora, me no choose none. You understand? And to me, that is actually a very dishonest move indeed. Me not like that. Me not like that. It is embarrassing to say the least. Now I wonder if because they did the Because We Care school cash grant distribution, that they're thinking that they give out enough money now. No more need to give out a single penny more. Because remember, that cash grant was recently concluded in June 2025 of $55,000 that was used to benefit each child. This year, they received $50,000 and the uniform voucher, which is $5,000 towards every child. And that was to benefit them for their education, for their, for their immediate needs. Now, some parents who didn't manage to get it, there was a mop-up distribution period, and that's to make sure that those who missed the dates due to circumstances can uplift the grants. So I suppose they're thinking that enough of these handouts, and it's time for Guyanese people to work for their own. They're mentioning things about universities. Hello, not everybody's going to go to university. What about your skilled laborers? What about people who don't pass the exams to get there? It's wonderful that you are investing in hospitals, but I'm sorry, you're supposed to do that. You are supposed to do that. Healthcare is priority for any nation. Um, I think it was quite a terrible move to pull this away. And if this is how the PPP will go forward, you will lose popularity immensely. Remember, APNO did a similar thing where they took the cash grants away and they tried to put that into transport for the children, etc. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all. It wasn't feasible. So, know what you're doing. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next story and the next country in the diaspora. This time we are focusing on Jamaica. Yes. And, oh boy, this case here, boy, I don't even know what to tell you, people. Because when this lady video came across my timeline, my blood started to boil. Because too often we see these stories and nothing comes of it, right? Now, I don't know if you saw this recent article that came out in the Jamaican newspaper about a teenager who decides to overturn charges against a child molester. Now, a comment on my page stated that it looks like said a 15-year-old was in a relationship with this older man, and the man is basically financing her, and therefore that made her drop the charges, right? Now, it is a shame that despite the obvious evidence that he was involved with a minor, the case is dismissed and not allowed to go any further, because I think it should be out of her hands regardless, right? And it is a shame that the young lady decided not to cooperate, allowing this man to continue with his philandering ways and, his targeting of underage girls. But this is a woman here that is standing up for justice. And I'd like you to listen to this video because this involves a dirty man, a real dirty man, a pastor to be exact. Take a listen.
And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor.
This is a man of God.
Prince of Peace.
I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Also a narcissist.
Oh, Almighty God.
And a child abuser. Remember this court document?
Oh, hallelujah.
This is not to bash the church. He's been really good at pretending for years. Imagine my surprise when I found out that the man who SA'd me as a child is now on TikTok preaching. And I'm a Christian, blood-bought believer. So do I believe that Jesus can save? Yes. Do I believe that we can be delivered? Absolutely. Do I believe that this man is saved? Absolutely not. On August the 30th, 2009, this man did something similar. We were about to go to court because I wounded him after years of being abused by him. This man showed up at the church that I went to as a little girl, bawling his eyes out, begging for mercy. That was the first time that he admitted to what he did to me. He admitted it to the pastor and to the assistant pastor. One might ask, why would he do this a couple of days before court? Because he was there to manipulate the church to have them tell me as an underage girl to not talk about what he did to me, to convince me to show mercy because God is merciful. Have I forgiven him? Absolutely. I did that for myself. But I'm here. You know why? Because it's time to expose him. This man has spent the greater part of his life abusing little girls. He started when I was 6 years old. I am in my 30s, and his last victim that I know of was 2.5 years ago, 3 tops. This man went to jail, got bail, and then got out, aligned himself to a church, and then based on my research, he started going on TikTok Live to be a TikTok preacher last year. A lot of you might have come across his page and sewed into what you thought was a ministry. Meanwhile, you're just there helping with the lawyer fees so he can beat the case against the underage child that he abused. It took me years to heal. It took me having a real connection with Jesus Christ and trusting God with my life, trusting God with my heart and my healing to get to this place. I am not okay with the culture that we have, especially in Jamaica and the Caribbean, where we protect the villain and the victims suffer. Young girls in our country suffer every day. They suffer for years. They suffer for the rest of their lives. And then we grow up and wonder why they're so damaged. Here I am exposing a criminal who gets on TikTok Live and prays against crime in a country where he continues to commit crimes. I'm not a girl anymore. I am not afraid. And so I know, I'm quite aware. I prayed about it. I know that this might come with messages and threats, but I warn you, be careful. Be very careful, because the little scared girl that I was then, afraid of the church because I questioned why they didn't see this man for who he is, she grew up to know God for herself. This isn't about revenge. I don't need revenge. Vengeance belongs to the Lord, and I have peace. This is about unturning stones where criminals get to hide under and continue to do these things over and over because no one exposes them. This is about justice for myself and the little girls who had no voice, because now I have mine. This is about exposing who this man is. So when you come in contact with him, you will know to grab your little girls and run. I don't want any harm to come his way. I want him to live a long and full life to pay for his crimes. And I would love for him to be saved and truly delivered. But that does not mean that he will not pay for the lives that he messed up intentionally. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So before you question whether or not this is an attack on another man, I have receipts. I also have a handwritten apology from this man that I held on to for years. If you know him, let him know. I don't know how many he picked, but when he picked me, he picked the wrong one. Going private on TikTok or blocking me on Facebook fixes nothing. He will either need to come out publicly, admit to what he did, go to prison, or completely go ghost. So now I'll be the watchdog. I am livid because you did not stop. You did not learn because you were not exposed.
Very powerful revelation by a young lady by the name of Blooming Shan. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram as well. But, you know, her story is so common. And for those of us in the Purple Heart community, we know about this, right? Too many of them get away with this kind of mess. And interestingly, after she exposed him 2 days ago, Mr. Man took down every single one of his profiles. Now, he was on TikTok. He had created a secondary profile as well, trying to, you know, avoid being identified, which she also exposed, which I found very funny. Yes, man, him a run for him life, and that's how we like it, right? And I did verify this guy did have an active following, claiming that he was a Christian and he's out here to, you know, win souls for God. You see, some of them Christian and some of them false prophets up on TikTok, whether they're for taps and roses, try no say them dead if they actually plant demons in a year rather than take the demons them out. You have to be very careful the kind of people that you facilitate in your lives, worse around your children, right? That come dressed up like they are sheep when they are in fact wolf in sheep clothing, there to devour and destroy innocence. Now, it is hoped that Blooming Shan will continue to expose this man so that justice can take precedence over everything, because Jamaica has improved its track record with handling these predators. We are seeing more and more cases where none of this is allowed to fly, and no 15-year-old or 14-year-old should be allowed to drop any case because she's getting sweets, because that is still grooming. You know what I'm saying? And this is the kind of thing that we have to celebrate when a victim is not silenced and becomes the victor in the end by exposing and stopping the actions of these predators in their tracks. Now, we do also have a case of a missing child. Now, this one is really heartrending. We have been following this case now for the past week. This young man by the name of Jaden Smith is from the school Manchester High School. Now, there is an intense search currently underway for this 12-year-old boy, and many speculations are out there about whether or not he ran away, if he was being abused in his household, and that's the reason for him actually disappearing. However, the cousin for this young man stepped forward and had the following to say to basically clarify exactly what is happening. Now, he has been missing since Friday of last week. So, boy, it is nearly a week we are look pan of this picnic being outside, right? He is known to be a very, very intelligent little boy. And the whole community is in uproar, trying to find him, looking left, right, and center through CCTV footage, even on feet. The last time he was seen was at the Little Caesars restaurant in Mandeville after leaving school on Friday afternoon, where he bought some food. He spent some time with his school friends, even loaned an umbrella to one of his friends. He had told another child that he was waiting for his cousin. However, the guardians of this cousin stated that that cousin didn't attend school that day and was unaware of any plans to meet with Jaden. So after leaving the Bankhouse Mall where Little Caesars is located, Jaden was spotted walking along the South Racecourse Road with a woman and another male student. So this was the last confirmed sighting of him. He is a quiet, well-mannered child who was performing very well academically, and he was being raised by his uncle-in-law and his wife since the age of 6. Now, there has been no community reports of mistreatment at the home, but the public is going to speculate, right? Now, there was an unfortunate incident on Thursday prior to Jaden going missing, that he was playing with his 2-year-old cousin when the toddler fell and broke his femur. The child was then taken to hospital on Thursday night, and when asked how he felt about the incident, Jaden didn't show any signs of distress. But sometimes children internalize, and I don't know if this Pitney was just scared and thinking to himself, am I gonna get punished for what happened, especially as an outside child. So, it is just worrying and distressing. Now, children process things very differently. It doesn't necessarily show that he is concerned, he's worried. But people are thinking that if he ran away as a result of that, it might indicate that the family are hiding something. So like I said, the relative, I believe it's the cousin, came forward to actually explain that no, Jaden is not going through any kind of abuse in this household, and kind of to put things straight with the public. Take a listen.
Hello, I wanted to make a video. I am Shanique. I am the cousin of Jaden Smith, the little boy that is missing. I am also the mother of the little boy, the 2-year-old that fell and broke his thigh. I wanted to address a few posts that we saw after my mom did an interview. There's a lot of speculation about one possibility of him being ill-treated by my mom, which is not the case. And if anyone knows my family, knows that my mother is a nurturer, right? And she has taken Jaden in after finding out that her brother was the father of Jaden, and realized that he needed a little bit more attention. and she decided that she was going to take him in whether or not her brother assisted with him financially or not, which he has been doing, right? So that was never an issue. Jaden has been with our family since he was 6 years old, and I can show you pictures. This boy is an extremely smart, intelligent young man. He was top GSAT student at his primary school. For a child that, if a child is having issues in a home, they would not, most times not be able to focus in school and probably have a negative behavior in school. That's not the case. Jaden is a very smart boy. He's intelligent, he works hard, and my mother provides the things that he needs along with his father to make him comfortable. When I was called that my son fell and broke his leg after playing with Jaden, at no point in time it crossed my mind that it was something malicious, because Jaden is not that type of child. At no point in time I thought anything bad. Boys being boys, he's a 2-year-old boy that is very active, and every time I video call, he's always on the bed jumping and listening to some song, dancing. So at no point in time I thought anything ill of the situation. Immediately the thing is, okay, let's take him to the hospital and find out what is wrong. So yes, found out that he broke his femur. Okay, and we're just in the process of just getting treatment. Initially, Jaden was at the hospital on the Thursday night when it happened. Then everybody left my mom at the hospital with the baby, went home. Jaden went to school in the following day and just did not come back home today. So mom was at the hospital with me on Friday when she left to go home, and then she called me saying that Jaden is not home. Initially, I'm like thinking, did he think that because what happened to the baby and the fact that the baby is in the hospital, is he thinking he did something wrong, and is he being hard on himself, that kind of thing? So that's definitely the first thing that ran through my mind, because overall we have no idea of anything else that would actually cause Jaden to not return home. Nothing else. That's the only thing outside of the norm that happened prior to him going missing. So again, just to clear the air, one, Jaden is well taken care of. Jaden is not ill-treated at home. Nobody blamed him for the fall of the baby. Nobody cussed him out or anything like that. It was nothing like that. So that's not the case. So at this point in time, because of how long it has gone since, and we have been following every lead that has been provided. The police have been helping, community has been helping, the school has been helping, and we are thanking everybody for all the help, and thank you for posting things, reposting, sharing, that kind of thing. We are very grateful, and just keep doing that so that we can get him home safely. We're still following leads. Nothing yet has kind of been concrete to actually point us to where he's at, so we're still working on that. So just continue to pray for us and help us to get Jaden home safely. At this point, we just don't know where he's at, and we're just hoping that he's safe and that he'll come back home. Jaden, if you're hearing this, I do not blame you for anything that happened to Zaire. Zaire is totally fine. He says you're supposed to come home. He's laughing, he's smiling. He's just going to take some time to recover, but he is fine. So come home to us. If you're able to see this video, come home to us. We miss you and we love you a lot.
Well, people, so as you can imagine, this must be so distressing. This case, it just have me in a turmoil, because I'm just waiting, constantly checking just to see have they found Jaden Smith. I really am praying, and I'm asking my audience to pray too, that this little boy is returned healthy, fit, and well, alive, more importantly, to his family, right? Because we have too many cases of children, just going missing or ending up in tragic circumstances. And I really hope and pray that this is not one other case of another promising child that, some bad outcome is the result, right? So, as I said, prayers up for Jaden Smith, and please keep your eyes out, those of you who are in the island of Jamaica and even in the diaspora, because you never know. Trafficking is a real thing. Please look out for Jaden and do whatever you can to bring him back, reunite him with his family. If you have made it this far into the video, please do not forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. If you are new to my channel, click that bell, especially so you are notified anytime I upload a video. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.